Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a want for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael Lee Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Sesame, Max, and Carter.
That's a good name. It's very...
Thank you.
Very strong. Heroic name. It's like the kind that, you feel like, hey, I can trust this guy.
Yeah, Max has a very strong kind of, energy to it. And you got Sesame, it's a little bit more feminine, so you kind of have the smoothness a little bit, of like, oh, this is a safe person to be around, But then you got the Max, which is a little bit more like tough, so it's kind of a good combination.
Yes. Like Maxim magazine. Wait, no.
Well,
what the fuck am
I don't know.
Anyway, so, how you doing there, Sesame?
I was doing all right, but then I hit my head and, oh man, it just hurt real bad. It was almost like, there was Max Headroom and I couldn't get past and just boom, so. And I felt like I kind of passed out for about 20 minutes, and then I woke up, and then it was like in the future because I passed out,
For like 20 minutes. Huh.
Into the future, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey. Wait a second. Today on the show, we're covering the hour-long film called Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes, sorry.
Aww. I don't know what that laugh was. Anyway, yes, today we're covering Max Headroom 20 Minutes into the Future, which was a 60-minute movie produced in the United Kingdom back in 1985. The cyberpunk television film created by the British company Chrysalis. For Channel 4 over there, which is one of their big networks.
God.
Yeah. It's like they got like the BBC and Channel 4 and then a couple other thingamabobbers over there. Like we've got ABC and CBS and whatnot.
Yep.
Speaking of which, this show spun off into a TV series that was made for America, for the American Broadcasting Corporation, for ABC. A couple of years after this was out, and the pilot of that is basically this movie reshot with different actors in most of the parts, except for there's like 2 holdover actors, Amanda Pays and Matt Frewer, plays Edison Carter and Max Headroom. And then Fiora Jones is played by Amanda Pays. And those are the only 2 actors that crossed over to the TV series. TV series included people like Christopher Young and Jeffrey Tambor.
Oh wow!
They like recast a lot of the British, because everybody in this movie was British except for Matt Frewer, basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's a Canadian American actor, which you probably know from like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and he was in the TV show Timeless for a little bit. He's been in a lot of things. If you see his face, you know who he is. But he's most famous for being Max Headroom.
Yeah.
Which was, I was born in the late 70s. I'm giving away my age a little bit here. And grew up in the 80s. And Max Headroom was like a phenomenon. Like the biggest thing since Jesus Christ. Maybe not that big, but pretty close. So it was...
I remember, him, as like a really little kid, like Back to the Future 2, because he was in a little scene in that. And...
Oh, actually, he wasn't in that.
That wasn't him? Oh, okay.
No, they had Max Headroom-like characters, one of Michael Jackson and one of Ronald Reagan, and then of like Khomeini or something. Yeah.
Oh, so the real, okay.
They never had Max Headroom himself, but they had Max Headroom-like characters, Yeah.
Well, I remember from something when I was a kid, very early on, because I was, 85. I was still like, a baby, but like I do remember seeing this movie sometime. I don't remember where or when, but I do remember it, especially like the 2 guys who are kind of like the street thugs or whatever, like the Bustle or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember those 2 dudes, and yeah, but he was like, I remember just like he was like, was he on MTV a lot, kind of?
Sometimes he was, but he did a lot of commercials.
Yeah,
like,
I do remember.
He was the spokesperson for New Coke.
Yeah.
The failed reformulation of Coca-Cola.
It's the way.
Yeah, he was that. He had his own show on Channel 4 first off after this movie. This movie was basically setting up the backstory of the character, who they wanted to create. They just wanted to create this character as a like VJ sort of host music videos. That was their initial concept.
So this came out first, though, right? Before...
Yeah. They wanted to do something with it. They originally tried to like animate the character like on a computer, but that didn't work. And the way that they actually created this, because there's no computer animation at all in Max Headroom.
Oh, okay.
What he is, it's Matt Frewer with prosthetics on his face, and like a plastic like suit that he's wearing, and like like fake hair and prosthetics and stuff to make him look kind of plasticish or like computerish in front of a blue screen, and then they just change the background.
That's
but
really
cool. But it looks like something that would come out of a computer. So
yeah, it looks like really glitchy. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. They would do the glitch. They would do like glitching later, like like have it be glitchy and stuff. But basically, it's just Matt Frewer in makeup.
I saw some.
Yeah, and there was also so we had the TV movie and then we had the TV series, but he also had his own show called the Max Headroom Show, which was a television series on Channel 4, and then it moved on to, I think it was like Cinemax in the United States, or HBO, one of the two. Cinemax, where he was basically, it was basically him as a VJ hosting, the latest music videos.
Wow.
Yeah. It was popular for a couple of years. And then after that, they ended up doing the television series on ABC, based off as a spinoff of 20 Minutes in the Future. So, have you ever heard of the Max Headroom signal hijacking?
Oh, God. No, I've done so much research on that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So an interesting thing is on November 22nd of 1987, an unidentified person wearing a Max Headroom costume carried out a broadcast signal hijacking of 2 television stations in Chicago. During each signal interruption, the hijacker speaks with distorted audio and stands before a swiveling corrugated panel so to mimic the background that he had. It was like never, it's still never to this day been figured out who did it. So
no one ever caught them. It's like total mystery. That this whole signal jamming thing was like huge in the 80s for like kind of like anarchists who knew about like, satellites and shit like that. They would do these like, things like they'd hijack like radio programs, TV, obviously. Yeah, but I've done so much research on this, and also too, God, one of the times I don't think it was the first time I watched the video. It may have been another time, but I had accidentally taken too much Benadryl because I had forgotten that I took some earlier, like not even like an hour earlier.
Yeah.
And so I watched it and I was like freaking out. It's like
I bet. Yeah.
I was just like, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't look away. Like I was just like, especially like it wasn't just the man. For me, it was more of the distorted voice and the weird thing in the background that was more freaking me out than the actual mask, or whatever.
There's a really good in-depth look at this on the podcast Stuff You Should Know. If you look up their episode about the Max Headroom thing, hijacking, they go in really in depth about the whole situation. It's a really good listen. That was like one of the first times I had ever heard about this, which was like probably about 5 or 6 years ago or whenever the episode came out. So yeah,
it's an amazing story. It's really fun to look into. Like if you just want to research something that's kind of stupid, but also like be cool. It's a pretty big deal. Chicago is a very major city in the United States.
Yeah, and they interrupted WGN, which was at the time it's one of the bigger stations. I mean, it still is one of the bigger stations in Chicago. Also, the PBS affiliate WTTW during a broadcast of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like I've seen that part too, like the literal clip of like the Doctor Who. It's like just try to imagine, like being in 1985, whatever year it was.
87, yeah.
87, and this is before YouTube, it's before like weird, obscure, absurd comedy was like a thing, really, that was for the most part. And you're just watching regular TV at like 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden this thing shows up for like a full like 2 minutes or something like that. Not quite, but it's like in like 40 seconds or something, and it just goes on and on.
I mean, it's like you're tuning into the news, and all of a sudden, Tim and Eric show just appears. Basically, is what this kind of was like. Yeah,
but it's so like, but it's it's just one of those stories I've read a lot about too, like on Reddit and stuff, where people have like had theories about they might have an idea of who it could have been, like because apparently there was like this a group of people that used to live like all like an apartment together, but they were all like these signal jammer type anarchist type people, and like somehow this other group of like people and like his brother would like tag along, and he was like autistic, and like because like some of the phrases that like this guy in the mask would say like were really similar to like what this guy would say, because like this guy would always say like, oh, before he would like say like go into something, like, and I think at one point the guy kept saying like, oh, so it's kind of like a different way of like communicating, I guess, like, and this this guy was like really into like just saying really weird off the cuff things that like didn't really have like any context to like what was going on. And like in the video he's talking about like your love is fading and like catch the wave, like just kind of like really stuff that didn't really have anything to do with like it's an interesting theory.
Catch the wave had to do with Max, but
no, I know that, but like it was just like it was like no, like devoid of any context of what they were. Yeah, like it. Anyway, it's a whole.
I mean, it could be anybody from like a hacker group in Chicago or like a former WGN employee and stuff like that. They thought maybe a guy that got fired from WGN was doing it as a fuck you. But who knows?
Yeah. But anyway, it's just there's lots of theories abound, and they're all very interesting. But yeah, so far, and there's been people who've claimed that, they knew that at one point, like someone's like spanking him, like a fly swatter or something, and like this guy on YouTube claimed like, oh, I knew the woman that she was part of the collective, anarchist collective. Sadly though, she passed away in like 2009. It's like, can't trust someone on YouTube, like, who writes a comment, like, But anyway, sorry, I know we kind of went off a little tangent here, but it's a really fun thing to look into.
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, look it up on Wikipedia. They've got like actual video links to segments from it, like 34-second, and they got the whole the WGN one was 34-second intrusion, and then the WTTW one was a minute 34.
Oh so, my God!
They've got both of them right here on YouTube, on Wikipedia. So
yeah, it's just amazing.
So yeah, that's a little tangent there off of this. But yeah, Max Headroom was, like I said, a cultural phenomenon in the 80s. It was like he was at one time as big as like Michael Jackson in the 80s. It was like So yeah, what is this movie about here?
So it's the plot's pretty straightforward, even though a lot of stuff happens. But basically, it's like this dude, he's like a journalist for a station, I forgot the name. Was it Channel 4 in this show too?
No, it's Network 23.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's basically like one of those like hard-hitting journalists who like gets to the bottom of things, that kind of like, he goes in the field and he faces danger, like that kind of journalist. Back in the 80s, that was kind of a big thing. Nowadays, no one really does that anymore. But
yeah, I mean, back then you had like John Stossel and Geraldo Rivera and people like that on 2020 and whatnot doing these type of things. Say what you want about either one of those people in the past that, but back then they would kind of like, oh, we're going to find out why, your cereal is poisoning your kids or whatever, shit like that. So yeah.
Yeah, so that used to be kind of a thing. So that was his like role. And he was like getting like too close to like the truth of this thing, because apparently there was like people like spontaneously combusting as they watched like too much TV. And like what it turned out was that like they have this new technology called blipverts, which like this teenage kid made up, and it basically just sends like thousands of advertisements like into your vision, like in like split second, basically.
Yeah.
And like some people who are like inactive, so like of course they may like fat people, because back then like the other people who were inactive were fat apparently, but whatever, so like they showed one of them like explode because it was just like too many like signals all in one one thing or whatever. And so like the people at like the board, like all the TV stations, like for this particular station, like half of them wanted to kind of just get ahead of the scandal right away and just kind of admit to it, and the other half wanted to cover it up, so that there was like a whole conspiracy about like who was going to win that kind of battle, And the kid ends up trying to just kill the guy by like controlling all the rooms and like this I don't know where like a warehouse or I forgot where they were,
something like that,
some kind of hotel or something. Not a hotel, some kind of building where the dude was trying to get files or whatever. And so the kid was like making the elevator go up, and then like his woman on the inside was like, she was like trying to help him from her computer, and she could tell like there was someone else like fucking around basically, you know. And so she shoot him down, the kid would shoot him up, and would just like go back and forth. Meanwhile, there's like these two guys who are kind of like paid muscle, I guess.
Yeah,
one of them,
they're basically remind me of like the human versions of Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah, because you got the one guy, he's a little bit smarter. The other guy's kind of like the muscle, basically. Yeah. They're chasing, and like they're dressed up like your typical 80s cyberpunk villains. Yeah. Like they just, you know, they look, you know, like they look like you would expect them to look at that era of television. By the way, that's like one of my favorite eras of like HBO and Cinemax, is these kind of shows. You don't really see that shows anymore, you know?
No.
And I mean,
we don't see dystopian future shows anymore because we're living in
one. Well, I mean,
just joking.
I mean, like you do, but like not like this campy.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
There's like a nostalgia thing for me about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you know, things like this and Mad Max and you know, like Roger Corman's like knockoffs of that and stuff. You had all these like, you know, cyberpunk type of things.
Yeah. So basically, long story short, he eventually gets out of the building, but then the kid, he steals one of the guy's motorcycles or moped or whatever, and then the kid does something like with one of the gates, like whatever, so like closes in on him, and then he hits his head, and it says Max Headroom.
Yeah.
To hit your line or whatever you call it.
Yeah, it's Max Headroom, 2.3 meters or something. Yeah.
And it gets kind of weird because we're led to believe that he died at first, and then they're gonna basically use like his head until like basically like turn it into like an AI type thing.
Yeah, they like scanned his personality and his likeness into this computer. I mean, this kid did.
It's like teenage kid.
This kid 14. Named Bryce, our Price. Wait, is his name? Bryce Lynch. There we go. I was right the first time. Yeah, Bryce Lynch. He's like a genius like kid. He basically it's like the first deep fake in a way, but like not quite as effective. But this movie has a lot to say about things that are actually going on in our world right now with AI and whatnot. So it's interesting. So it basically creates like an artificial intelligence version of Edison Carter, who decides that his name is Max Headroom because that's the last thing he saw. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's just wild. And so meanwhile the kid's doing that, and like one of the guys who wanted to kind of get ahead of the scandal, he's like tells him to drop the project, you know, doesn't want anything to do with that, but the kid keeps working on it anyway. And then, you know, the guy turned out that he didn't really die. He escaped the whatever place they took his body to. And then, so you got half the movie, it's him just trying to run away.
Somehow
and survive.
He still had his camera too. I didn't get that.
Oh, that's right. He still has his camera with him. And then,
yeah,
I don't know. It was weird. And then he's trying to get in contact, you know, with I forgot her name, but she was like a journalist too, I think. Yeah. Or she worked for one of the companies.
Yeah. Amanda plays Theora Jones. Yeah. That's his woman on the inside. Yeah.
And yeah, she's part of the company too, but she's more like on like the computer, like the technological side of things, like, you know, and so she's helping him out. And then you want to talk about the weird third plot of like the people living in the trailer, like that's
so the two henchmen guys steal the computer that has Max inside of it, and at one point there's like this kind of like older punk couple, or at least the dude's older. I don't know about the woman. She's like
he looks pretty old.
Yeah. He looks like, you know, like grandpa punk, you know. It's like the old dude at the Sex Pistols concert that shouldn't be there, sort of thing. And he's there, and then they live in like this trailer or whatever, and I guess they're kind of like, I don't know, like doing like some kind of pirate television broadcast that they call Big Time. And they end up using Max as their host. The hench people stole the thing and basically were going to sell the computer to them. And then they took it anyways, without paying for it, and got Max, to be their new TV star. Which isn't too far off. I'm pretty sure we're going to have TV stars. I mean, you probably already do, that are just completely AI.
Yeah.
I mean, we have AI narrating YouTube videos and stuff now, so it's pretty much the same thing.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, he's like out and shit, but then he starts becoming more intuitive, and like almost like a personality of its own is starting to like manifest,
Yeah, like he has a sense of humor and everything.
Because this like TV show, this TV station was just like really tiny, like cable access type of, show.
Yeah, I think it was like pirate television, basically. Like
it. Oh, that what it was.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And then at one point they figure it out because they like I guess like when they monitor like how many people are watching a particular channel back then. All of a sudden this channel just like skyrockets in viewership, like within like an hour, or whatever.
Yeah, the old dude, by the way, his name is Blank Reg. I just found that interesting. That is
interesting.
Yeah,
so Blank Reg.
Yeah. So yeah, they basically then Carter ends up like exposing the whole thing at the end.
Because they're trying to kill him or something, and then like the whole thing becomes like exposed. Like I said, like the plot's pretty straightforward, but there's a lot going on in between.
Because I think this whole thing was just made more as a presentation for a possible idea for a TV series in the future.
Yeah,
which they ended up making a couple years later.
But it was like a pilot basically for this journalist dude. But it's weird because the journalist is still alive, but now he's got this AI version of him who's also doing shit. So it's like, I don't know how they work with, how they kind of deal with that,
Yeah, here's the premise of the TV series, in case you're interested. In the future, an oligarchy of television networks rules the world. Even the government functions primarily as a puppet of the network executives, serving mainly to pass laws such as banning off switches on televisions.
Wow.
So you can't turn your television off. That protect and consolidate the network's power. Television technology has advanced to the point that viewers' physical movements and thoughts can be monitored through their television sets. Almost all non-television technology has been discontinued or destroyed. The only real check on the power of the network is Edison Carter, a crusading investigative journalist who regularly exposes the unethical practices of his own employer and the team of allies both inside and outside of the system who assist him in getting his reports to air and protecting him from the forces that wish to silence or kill him.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not sure how Max Headroom fits into that story.
Yeah, that's kind
of the name of the show.
Unless maybe Oak's banned for all of this. Oh yeah,
it says here on this, so it says, despite being the titular character, Max sparsely appeared on the show, while he occasionally played a significant part in a plot, sometimes by traveling through networks to gain information or by revealing secrets about Carter that Carter himself would not divulge. His most frequent role was as comic relief, delivering brief quips in reaction to certain events, or giving a humorous soliloquy at the end of an episode.
That's
Yeah,
probably because they wanted to write like a dystopian show, or like a cyberpunk thing or whatever, and then they kind of just want to throw him in there to kind of get more viewers. Basically,
yeah. I guess the pilot is basically a remake of the movie with new with new actors.
Yeah. I like the movie though.
I do too, but I mean, basically they just wanted, because they recast the roles with American actors because they probably had to. So yeah,
but again, it's hard to really emphasize, like, kind of like how you said, of like how much of a phenomenon his character was in the 80s. Like, he was everywhere. Like, I mean, even when I was really, like, I don't really remember too much of that, my part of my life, but like, I remember seeing him all the time in commercials. Sometimes he was on MTV, like doing a little bit or whatever. I mean, it was just like, just all the time. Like, it was.
I mean, I remember having like cups from McDonald's with his face on it.
Yeah,
and stuff like that when I was a kid, and other things too. Like, seeing him everywhere. Like, his picture would be on things that T-shirts and posters and everything. So yeah,
who knows? Maybe because I'm pretty good at, like, I hate to use the phrase because it makes me cringe. Quote, trend forecasting. Because I hate that phrase so much, but I'm usually pretty good at that stuff. So it's like, usually when I start to, get into something or notice something, it's usually not far off before that thing starts to become popular. So who knows? Maybe we'll start seeing like a Max Headroom type revival, or at least a character similar to him, with that same kind of graphics or whatever.
What was that? I just saw this. There was a where is he? There is, right. On July 29th of 2022, AMC announced a series reboot with Matt Frewer as Max.
Okay, so I was a year off, but
well, no, it hasn't come out yet. It's still.
They announced it a year ago, so I was like,
yeah, but it's still in development, so it hasn't premiered yet. So you're there. So
I'm good to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is no other information about it, so it could have been dead on arrival too on that. So who knows?
Oh man,
but yeah, I'd like to see them try something, like, even if they reboot the concept of the TV series or did something completely different. It'd just be interesting to see what the modern take on this would be, because we have things like Max Headroom now, and stuff. I mean, this is, and at the time, like the whole world of, like, we're living in a world where we had like Terminator, like, a year before Max premiered. You had
there's a lot of stuff like that.
You had that. Even in your toy aisles, you had like Teddy Ruxpin, a teddy bear that would talk to you and shit. So, and then Child's Play came out. You got all these things where it's like these computerized things are kind of like either something cool for kids or something that's gonna kill you.
Right, demonic.
Or something. It's like, yeah. It was like the fear of technology and robots taking over, but now it's more like, currently it's like AI is sort of the big fear now. You're gonna have artificial intelligence, and you've got robots packaging things at Amazon. You've got Chat GPT, writing things for people, even though it's just regurgitation. It's not real writing yet, but it's like,
I've been trying to train my AI. Well, it's not mine, but whatever it is. I forgot the name of it, but the one the link that you share with me.
Chat GPT, yeah.
And I've been like trying to like get it to write like about like the same character. Like, for me, it's been Negan from The Walking Dead, because they got a new show coming out. I don't even really like Walking Dead that much, even though I rewatched the entire series recently. I just wanted to watch season 11. I wanted to get refreshed, so I just watched the whole series. Took me a few months to do it. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But like, so I just started like getting like write like really absurd things about the character Negan, like how Negan gets transformed into Abed's mind and community, and then like suddenly he appears, and then like he basically like has like a wrestle control for the group with Jeff because they both want to be like the leader of the group, and so they're like both being sarcastic with each other and shit like that. And then like I'll just write other things, like write a scene where like Negan doesn't kill Glenn, but then like they like become both baseball players and just weird shit. But then like I've noticed that it's starting to kind of like understand the absurdity. So like now it just sort of leans into it. So I'm like training this thing, like,
Yeah.
It's just weird. But of course now it's gonna like come back to me, and then now it's gonna start training me. And so now I'm gonna become like one with the machine. So I kind of open myself up to that now. So,
Yes.
maybe by next time I'll call myself Sesame Machine and Carta or something like that.
I mean, right now, there's no way for you to know if I'm actually me. Maybe
It's true.
Maybe this is like a deep fake AI version of me hosting
It could
this
be
show.
AI voice, yeah.
Yes. They've done that. I've somebody created a like an episode of Joe Rogan's podcast with a fake Joe Rogan.
Oh my God.
And I mean,
They're so
it actually
accurate.
sounded smarter than he is. But
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, that's not very difficult to
Yeah.
do, but yeah. And you can usually tell though, there's little differences here and there.
Yeah, there'll be like little variations in the speech pattern. I've seen things
Yeah.
where people even try to do AI like physical versions of themselves for YouTube videos. And a lot of times, the way it is right now, they can't really move their hands much.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of just standing still and their face is moving and talking to you. But, a lot of times talking heads on YouTube videos, that's all there is anyways, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's just but man, like in the next few years or even faster than that, but that really definitely within the next 5 years, this is gonna cause so much chaos in politics. Like it's gonna be like horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Somebody's going to make a fake Trump or Biden or somebody and put them on TV, or some other politician or something of like a smaller country or something that we don't know as well, and it'll fake people, and then all of a sudden we're fighting with like a third world country that we've never heard of.
Right.
Yeah.
And like with Trump and stuff, like,
Sure.
like every time he says or does something really stupid, he's just gonna say, "Oh, it's AI." So it's like,
Sure.
so now,
Sure.
I mean, like his followers now believe anything he says, anyways, but
Yeah.
now it's definitely gonna be the case where
Yeah, I
if
mean,
anyone,
that can be harnessed for it could be harnessed for good or bad. It's just
it's just like,
yeah.
So it's like anytime like anything bad happens, they could just say, "Oh, that was AI. It wasn't really me. It was a deep fake." I mean, he was already saying that back in 2020 during the pandemic in the summer of 2020. He was saying things were deep fake. So it's like, it's gonna be so chaotic.
It's like that Jordan Peele deep fake of Obama that they did, like, and this was like probably about 5 or 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And it's not even that great, but I remember when it first came out, it kind of was like amazing. Like I almost believed that was Obama, but it's gotten so much better since then even. So, you could do, you can make, you could, I mean, I don't want to see this, but you can make pornography with Obama having sex with Trump or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
I'm just saying that you have that
Oh,
ability now almost, so it's like creepy.
It's going to be so interesting, and they're going to start making laws based on this stuff.
Yeah.
Where I think they've already done laws now about like making pornography of like a celebrity.
Well, I know that they're Alyssa Milano fought in court for years because people would paste her photo on other women's bodies.
Yeah.
And put them online, and she had to get those all taken down and fight in court to basically anybody that did that would owe her a bunch of money.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's started some precedents on that thing. So, but I mean, it's hard to say what will happen, but I mean, by the time things get into the courtroom when you're trying to do something, who knows what'll happen? I mean, because I mean, most of the time it's like they always say that the first thing you hear or see is what you believe, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
So like, somebody comes out and, the first thing you hear is that, drinking Coca-Cola is going to solve COVID. If that's the first thing you hear, you're going to believe it even after everybody tells you that it's bullshit,
Yeah, it's got acid, so maybe the acid played the virus. Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So it's,
it's wild. I like how you mentioned Coca-Cola because he was.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to tie it in. But
yeah, yeah, that's good.
Yes, I mean, I take all of my advice now. Here, my scientific advice, just letting you know that earlier this week on Facebook, I posted how the week that we record this, I don't know when this is going to air, but the week that we record this, the air quality was really bad because of the wildfires in Canada. And I was posting something about how it's, I don't want to go out for my walk because I can barely breathe when I go outside. And somebody tried to tell me that, it's probably just as bad in your house.
Right.
Which is totally not scientifically proven. But this guy was, I looked him up, and the only thing I could really find out about him is that he's a professional donut icer at Dunkin'. Which I'm pretty sure that, at, most scientific universities, that's the highest level you can attain. After your master's degree and all that stuff, you get donut icer.
You gotta do that for 5 years as an apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I love donuts, so ice that shit up, bro. But
because America runs on Dunkin' and conspiracy theories.
Yes, it does. I mean, unironically, yes, it's true. Unfortunately, because everyone loves their Dunkin', and they also love conspiracy theories. So that's actually not even a joke. That's
nope. Sometimes you just sit there and you're drinking your Dunkin' coffee and you're coming up with new conspiracy theories.
Yep.
You look at how flat the donut is, and then you realize, wait, the Earth is flat too.
Yeah. It's
you're just looking at your eclair and you're like, that's what the Earth's shaped like.
Eclair. You're looking at your Earth's Claire. They gotta make it the Earth Claire. I don't know. And then
I don't know. Anyways, we're going off on a tangent, but I really liked this movie. It was good.
Yeah, me too. It brought back some memories when I watched it, probably when I was a kid or something. But I would recommend it. If anyone wants a recommendation, sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah, one of the writers, George Stone, I'm reading some trivia here, disagreed with Max appearing in what would go on to become a long-running series of Coca-Cola adverts, believing that they turned the character into a short-life product. Meaning that, which it probably did, because you can't it's like, but then again, you do have some advertisement characters that have been around for years, like the Geico Gecko or whatever, and things like that, or Flo from basically any of your insurance company mascots.
Yeah, you got those. Yeah, you got Flo, who's unfortunately she's like an actual comedian and actress and really good, but she's kind of
but she's really annoying as Flo. I'm just
she's probably making bank.
I know. I would do it too.
She's been doing those for over 10 years, almost 15 at this point. I mean,
probably longer than that.
Yeah, I know since even before 2010, I think, and it's just crazy. But
yeah,
you got
Stephanie Courtney is her name.
Okay,
since 2008, she's been playing the character.
Okay, yeah, wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
You don't really see a character that often, as that long running of a commercial, like 15 years. That's.
And according to this, she has a net worth of $6 million.
I figured.
Yeah,
I figured like that.
But who knows how true that is? That's just on a Google search.
Yeah, those sites sometimes. Because I remember one time we went to see your friend's band, and he was opening up for another band that was much bigger, like a jam band.
Yeah,
and I forgot the name of it, Steven Keller or something like that. And I went to look up his net worth, and it said $60 million. I'm like, this guy he's not famous.
Yeah.
like people who know him and they go to his concert and stuff, but like he's not like a world renowned like Beyonce or, you know.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way he's making $60 million just from going on tour and playing some jam band music and selling some merchandise.
Yeah, I'm friends on social media with Devon Sawa, the actor.
Yeah.
And he posted this thing from this website that said his net worth. And he's like, yeah, I'd really like to see where all that money is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
like, there's no way he has that much money or whatever it
was. I wish.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like his idle hands money have kind of been spent now, you know, or
he's still acting. He's got, you know, he's well off, he said, but he's like, I don't have that much money. You know,
right.
So it's just like,
I mean, like, by the way, another recommendation, Idle Hands.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Movie. It's such a great movie.
We'll have to cover it in a future episode.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. We just never did it, but yeah, totally. That's a good one.
But but they had him at like a level of like almost like Tom Cruise sort of money. And
oh my God,
like, no. You know,
so... unless he has like a bunch of like secret businesses all over, like you know, private businesses. Yeah.
But anyways, any other final thoughts about Max Headroom 20 minutes into the future?
No, just check it out if you're into that kind of cyberpunk stuff. I really like this because you know I remember watching it when I was a kid, and it brought back a lot of those sort of just like that kind of just it's very 80s. You can tell by the era of like it's so good though. I would totally check it out.
Yeah, I think it's very much going to be something that you should watch and you'd enjoy when you watch it. And it says a lot about our current society too, I think, in a lot of ways, which a lot of things we will look back on from the 80s and you'd just be like, wow, that was really kind of predictive programming. Not really, but not really.
Exactly, man. They were trying. The Simpsons were trying to tell us about 9/11, bro.
So I hate all of those things that when anything happens in the world and people are like, the Simpsons predicted it. The Simpsons have like billions of episodes. Of course, they have something that's tangentially connected to what happened in right now, but it's not them predicting. It's just like, oh, we had an episode with a submarine, so you know the submarine
means that we
predicted we predicted the Titan people dying. No, you didn't. You know, it's just like
also too is that life and social like society and politics are so absurd that it's really not that hard to like predict something stupid happening because we're just pretty much ruled by idiots. So it's not that difficult to even quote see into the future because it's like, of course something like this would happen. Of course Trump would become president. Why not? Like,
and not to mention just the idea that art and life are so interconnected that it's like you can't tell if something's imitating life or imitating art. You know, it's like
exactly.
It's just the way it is. Anyways, hope you folks enjoyed this episode. You know, one thing you can do, you know, before the artificial intelligence overlords take over the world, you can be sure to subscribe to us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. One of which is going to be going bye-bye. Stitcher is no longer going to exist come August.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, it's my favorite one, and it's no longer going to exist. So, you know, check us out everywhere else. We're there still. You know, and we're also on YouTube. We also have Facebook and TikTok and the Zimzam and the Doogie Daga and the those are things, right?
I mean, there probably will be within the next few years, I guess.
See, I'm predicting it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just as powerful as Matt Groening.
Yes.
So so anyways, check out our TeePublic and you know, check out our Patreon. You know, really, if you want to help the show, help us survive.
Yeah,
in this post-apocalyptic world that we live in.
Yeah, we need to pay for the blipverts.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, I used to take a lot of blipverts, and then I went to a 12-step program, and then I'm no longer hooked on blipverts.
It's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So, anyways, just remember that Max Headroom loves you. Maybe. And I love you. And Sesame loves you. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.